Ooh, that dirt's not going to help him as we got Espez, who has been saving fuel. Does he have enough to finish this lap going all out? Taking a look down the inside as he gets covered up. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin.
3 wide. Hawkin makes it stick on the right side. Better run for Williams on the left. Espez chooses the left as well. Hawkin now stuck side by side as Espez goes for a 3 wide move. Heading towards Cunningham. Espez bullies his way back up to the point. Williams with the preferred line. Hawkin makes it 3 wide again. Hawkin and Williams late break. Side by side still.
Hollander's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partanen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolanen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partanen.
Gonna poke his nose to the inside, going down into turn 10. That sweeping right-hander. Oh, contact! Newhook gets the worst of it.
He tries to woe it up. Can he? He does keep it on course, amazingly. I thought he was going to have to cut the chicane, but now look at all of them swamping side to side as there's a little bit of a brush into the right front fender of Newhook's car. Now a little bit of banging between himself and Cowgill, trying to hold on to it. They are getting rough out there. We still have 28 minutes to go.
Joe, that was almost 4 wide coming down into turn 1. I don't know if I've ever seen that much aggression here out of these MX-5s.
Under braking, who is the bravest here? More lap traffic in front of him. It looks like Reynolds goes a little bit deeper, but is it too deep? No, he gets ahead. Thomas O'Leary cannot hold him back. Blake Reynolds is back up to the point, fighting back now. It's going to come down through the stadium section and the inside with Thomas O'Leary. The shorter line and a spin from Blake Reynolds gives it up. Get one more good shot here, but passing into Rent. I don't know about that. Side by side in the last corners will be sketchy. Lap traffic staying out of the way. Hammer defends to the inside. Burns around the long way. And he's going to have to take to the runoff because there's a little bit of nudge between them. Comes back to the racetrack, but he's behind as Hammer exits the final corner. Hammer is going to take the win here at Austria. When Ford Drink Friday was started, one of the initial tracks it was run on was Laguna Seca. So, as history often does, we've circled back around for another visit to a classic. Get ready for another fun romp as we get ready to witness Ford Drink Friday, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Laguna Seca is a tough one while sober. Adding inebriation to the mix will make it downright diabolical. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey Historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come. Adam, we've watched these MX-5s here at Laguna Seca many times before, but this will be interesting with the track limits and certain other things relaxed.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of things are going to be relaxed around here. Now, usually when I talk about Laguna Seca and it's 2.24 miles or 3.6 kilometers and it's 11 turns, I talk about where the best places to pass are and how the car is going to be handled on this track. But I think actually the more pertinent information for Ford Drink Friday is going to be what's off the track and how that's going to be used here tonight. And that is the fact that it's not really dirt, honestly. It's kind of dust, or more accurately, silt that lies around the exterior of this track. There is no paved runoff anywhere, and it's just this silt stuff pretty much everywhere. So much so, and it's so slippery for the cars when they drive around this track, that they had to put gravel down on the runoffs of multiple of the corners just to make sure that the tracks could actually grip on the cars would actually stop before hitting the tire barriers. Otherwise, it just continues sliding off. So if you get too far out there, especially in a place where it's not really expected for you to go, you're going to get into that silt, and it's going to be a real issue. And one of the places where we expect to see this happen a lot, especially a couple drinks in, is going to be the corkscrew. A lot of drivers are going to be cutting that corner, and with the heel on for tonight, that's going to make things very interesting around here. These MX-5s absolutely built for this place. It's called Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca for a reason, and these drivers are going to have an interesting time here tonight.
Was called Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. I believe they changed it to WeatherTech now, but that's a whole nother discussion about sponsored names for circuits as we head to our sponsors, of course. And that starts with Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. As well as Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Don't forget, they love to have a good time here, and they love to invite new friends in, so make sure and join the league. We've got a link in the description below, as well as to their Discord, where they're always active. So definitely check out both of those links if this looks like fun to you, and maybe join in if you decide you might want to give a go at some of this wackiness once a month. Right now, though, we're going to take a look at the race details as well. Adam, why don't you give a quick rundown of what the drivers are going to be up against?
Absolutely. Well, they're driving the MX-5s here tonight at Laguna Seca, as we mentioned. It's a 40-minute race for these drivers, and they must drink 4 12-ounce beverages. If they decide not to, they can be a designated driver, and they can come into the pit stop and do 3 stop-and-go penalties for this round. It's been adjusted a little bit here for these drivers. They're also driving a fixed setup MX-5 with either no damage or healing, yet to be determined out there on the track, but definitely will be interesting to see these drivers go around here. It's going to be a very exciting race. I mean, 4 drinks over the course of 40 minutes, that's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but then I'm a lightweight, so that's why I'm up here, not down there. And we can confirm it is healing on these cars, as I've seen in the practice session. And anytime they have the new damage model on one of these cars, well, basically, just so that iRacing works as intended, they can break, but then they pop back into place. So if you see that, don't freak out. That's going to be normal. That's so that the drivers aren't having to tow back into the pits too frequently over the course of this race. But obviously, it does change the nature of things, since they can get some temporary damage, and that, of course, can affect either the handling or the speed of the cars, depending on what they're doing at the time. Right now, they're in the midst of qualifying, and Matt Hollander actually is our quickest driver by a little under 0.2 of a second. Michael Bolton behind him. Looks like we have about 10 drivers here today, of which I see 4 of them marked as designated drivers. We haven't gotten information on any extras that will be under that DD signal. So we'll try and keep an eye out, see if we get any extra information on that. Now, a couple details about that drinking as well. As Adam mentioned, they are required to drink 4 12-ounce beverages. Now, if they want to do an adult beverage that requires simply a shot, say a tequila, maybe Octavio tequila, they can do that. However, they have to chug a regular non-alcoholic beverage that adds up to 12 ounces to go along with that shot. So it just ensures that you can't cheat and just pull off to the side, stop, take a quick shot, and get going. The idea is to slow you down and try and make sure that you have to get an even time with everybody else. So we see and they love creative paints here, Adam, as well, as we see one of our student drivers out running along.
Absolutely, and I can't believe I'm going to talk about strategy here, Joe, but I'm going to talk about strategy. An interesting strategy might be to do something that's a shot, but then drink that 12-ounce, because that actually might help dilute the alcohol in your system, even though it takes the same amount of time, or even potentially longer. It might not affect you as much and impair you as much, so there could be a strategy to be had there. But these drivers, student driver, this will be one for the record books. I'm not sure California is going to appreciate having this Mazda student driver out there, but that's Nico Silva, designated driver, so definitely an apt student driver for that particular paint scheme. Currently third on the timing sheets in qualifying, about 4/10 off of Hollander.
Yeah, we find ourselves frequently talking about quote-unquote strategy in this series, and it involving how you drink or when, honestly. And that, honestly, is something I'm kind of curious to see. So often we've seen drivers in this series maybe try and take a drink at the very start. You know, they won't actually go off the line. They'll pull off to the side, let everybody go, take a drink while all the craziness happens in front of them, and try to play catch-up. I'm not sure if I would want to drink early at a track like this. This place takes so much focus, Adam. I feel like maybe it'd be wiser to try and wait until towards the end so that you do more laps, I guess, on the black stuff.
Well, for some of you who have parents or adults that you know that don't do a lot of video gaming or don't do a lot of driving particularly, if you've ever sent one of those folks around this track, you might find them getting caught up at the corkscrew and having a hard time getting onto the rest of the course. And depending on how impaired these drivers get, they could have a similar instance. On top of the fact that the runoff for the corkscrew to the right, when you head off straight and to the right, it's quite long. It's quite long, and that becomes a canyon in there, which is going to require a couple of, couple of J-turns to get out of. It's going to be a real challenge for those drivers if they get stuck out there. So I'm with you, Joe. I would try and save the drinks for a little bit later and potentially do a couple in a row if you can. I mean, not in a row, but a couple, one lap after another, if you can stomach it, closer towards the end of the race, to try and hold off that inebriation so that you potentially have a chance to finish while still in your right mind.
Believe it or not, we actually have had guys that have doubled up in the past. So, it amazes me. And honestly, while we're talking about that, we always like to clarify that this is, of course, virtual, and we do want to encourage everyone to drink responsibly. So please don't drink and drive in real life. This is all guys.
Or in official sessions, please.
Or in official sessions either. Yes, we had some discussions before we went live about that. So, yes, please keep it to your private leagues here on iRacing, or just in test sessions, and make sure you enjoy alcohol responsibly and of age in your region. We've got about 3 minutes left. We haven't seen a whole lot of changes up at the top. We do have a few drivers I don't recognize. Maybe they've been around since I haven't called one of these lately. But Ben Shout, another DD, is sitting in 4th, so awesome to see him. And I don't know if we've had Alex Filsinger, who is currently in 8th position. So I wonder if those are two fresh faces. They're going to try and see what they can do out there today. It's not always the fastest driver. Often we'll see these things go down to who is the most consistent and cleanest.
Well, absolutely. That's the name of the game around here today. It's going to be who's consistent and cleanest, who has the strategy to make sure they get to the end based upon their own reaction to what they're intaking tonight. So it'll be interesting to see who has the success here on the MX-5s on this very slippery surface. This is such a challenging track when you get off track. I mean, the MX-5 is a very forgiving vehicle when it comes to getting off track due to just the nature of the car and its ability. I mean, they're more or less driving on modified road tires and cars here, so it's definitely got to be a lot more forgiving when you get out into the silt. But that's definitely I mean, we're coming under the Mother's Bridge, and the next set of corners through 5 and 6, down the Rahal Straight, some of the most challenging sections as we're riding on board with Nico Silva once again. Please be patient with the student driver as he is trundling underneath the VP Bridge. And this left-hander here at 6, so challenging to get right, even in the best of circumstances. I can't wait to see what these guys do with a couple drinks in their system.
Well, I'm pretty sure a number of these guys do have drinks in their system already, because many of them have admitted before they pregame. The only thing is that pregame drinking does not count towards the total of 4 that they have to drink during the race. They can only drink the drinks during the race for them to count, which again amazes me. Silva again is a DD, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily the racing line we've been seeing out of him so far. Not sure if he's practicing offline, or maybe he's decided to ignore this designated driver role. Speaking of the DDs, though, you mentioned the 3 stop-and-go pit stops that they'll have to take, Adam. I'm kind of curious if they're hustling too hard, if that might cause a few problems, because the pit entry and exit, I mean, granted, they won't have the drinks in their system. Still, I could see some drivers maybe driving those a little too hard.
Yeah, an iRacing stop and go is more like a 5-second stop and go, because it takes a little bit of time for the system to register that you've stopped. And so it can, and like you said, the pit lane is very long and very slow here. It's one of the slowest pit lanes in racing. And that can cause a holdup, as we're seeing a nice battle here between Hollander and Silva in our qualifying session, as they're nose to tail going through 4. Oh, and Silva getting pushed a little bit wide, but still side by side. This is what we're going to see a lot of tonight, because these drivers don't have to worry about incidents, don't have to worry about off tracks, don't have to worry about slowdowns. They can battle as hard as they want for as long as they want.
Exactly. And as our session finishes up, that means that our grid will be set pretty soon. I think we have a few drivers on hot laps that are allowed to wrap those up. I think Kip Mitchell is going to be the first one in the 47. He's just coming around the final corner now. He sits in 5th place, about 8 tenths off of the pole. Let's see what this one's going to be. It does not count, apparently, so he will continue to stay in 5th until someone goes faster. Nico Silva and Hollander have both had off track, so obviously these won't count for them. And then Ben Shout will be the next one.
So, Joe, I'm starting to think about my strategy for the first lap, and my strategy is to be in the back of the pack and come up to that corkscrew and just absolutely send it. Absolutely, just as hard as I possibly can, and try and shoot that gap between the middle and try and come out ahead of everybody. I don't know how it's going to go, but like, that's my thought going into it. My car heals. I don't have to worry about off tracks. Like, what is there to lose? That's my strategy.
You're going to have a Dukes of Hazzard moment. Just clear a car completely, go over the top of it if you managed it. Oh, I love it. We'll see if anybody manages to do that. Oh, his Shout does go faster, 38.9. But he doesn't improve his position. He's half a tenth off of Nico Silva in the end. I see Balsbaugh, the next one through, is another of our drivers having some fun going through turn 6 there. And Nick, a 39.7 for him, will get him up to 7th place. We're up to 11 drivers out there. And that is it for our qualifiers. All right, then. Let's go through that starting grid here today. it is going to be Matthew Hollander who puts it on the pole. Michael Bolton will be on his outside. It is Nico Silva who starts from third today, with Ben Shout in P4, and Kip Mitchell will round out the first half of the field. Adam?
Yeah, then we got John Momeyer, one of our designated drivers, in sixth. Nick Balsbaugh is going to be in the seventh position, with Josh Lowe in eighth. We got Alex Filsinger in ninth, and Larry Haas in 10th. And off our screen on the next one is Michael Ost, who's going to line up in 11th today.
Only one unable to set a time in this qualifying session. Does look like he's still in here, so hopefully he will be gridding up today as the drivers now take to that grid as the session has ticked over, and it is a standing start. So let's hope that everybody will be able to get away clean. Thankfully, at least they don't have the old clutch in here as we take a look at the weather. And it's now that sequential gearbox.
Yeah, so that's very thankful for them for sure as we get ready to go. This is going to be a standing start for these drivers. Still waiting on Bolton and Ost to come to the starting line, but always very exciting to see a standing start in the Mazda series. And some of these drivers, as you said, Joe, might decide to take a drink right off the bat.
Let's see who does that. And again, they do have to come to a complete halt off the racing line if they wish to drink. So that is what keeps everybody pretty similar on that end. And yeah, we're still waiting on Bolton and Shout to put themselves out there. There is Bolton. Shout and Ost are going to be the last amongst them. So they get about 2 minutes to try and grid up, and we're already about halfway through that. They can't dilly-dally too much longer. They're going to be forced to start from pit lane here in this race. Well, as Adam mentioned, not necessarily a bad idea because, yeah, you'll lose a bit of time, but you'll avoid some of the chaos as they start off on their way over the hill towards the Andretti hairpin. There is Shout, and it looks like Ost is out there, so the engines now start to rev as the lights come up. It's For Drink Friday once again, and the green flag is out. Off the line, looks like Shout had a horrible start, and Hollander is going to take his drink immediately, managing to barely get 4 wide past him as the drivers are all bundled up in the mid-pack, and unfortunately they're all already going to find trouble. 3 of them wrecking in the back, down into the first corner. It looks like Bolton temporarily has the lead, but Silva starts to sneak by.
And a couple of them were hooked together there, had to break a wheel off in order to make that work, but still side by side between Bolton and Silva. It looks like Bolton is going to go through. Silva is going to be let through as well. So Hollander's drink is complete. He's out running about 23 seconds off the lead.
All right, so Hollander is already on his way, and he's about 11 seconds back from the nearest car. I think that wreck certainly helped him into turn 5. Have a pass for third as Josh Lowe is going to be overtaken by Momeyer, and a couple cars in the background going a little bit wide. Again, that is legal in this series. Momeyer not able to hold on to it. He's going to have to let Lowe pack past.
Bolton way off track, and he got onto that silt, couldn't get the traction down, so he's actually still off track as he tries to come back up the hill. Here we go into the corkscrew. Is anyone going to send it deep? The answer is no. Everyone going to pray pretty nice. Oh, never mind. Spoke too soon.
Momeyer gets tipped off into the outside. He's trying to find his way back forward. Unfortunately, an extra spin costs him some time. So that means that it is now Silva leading with Bolton in second, and Silva takes one of his 3 stop and goes immediately. Oh, and it's way too deep into the corner for Bolton. He's going to give up the lead as well. There goes Michael Ost. He is going to go from last to first on the first lap.
Very clear to me that Bolton's taking a drink right now, so he's decided to take that wreck or that deepness and actually translate that into a drink. So he's going to use the best offer that he can. Got another driver into the pits. That's Momeyer.
So Silva carries on, and he is going to get back out just ahead of Momeyer. And it looks like Hollander, who's already up to speed, but Ost leads the way out of turn 3, looking to try and find his way to get as much of a gap as possible, as he is one of our drinkers today. And, you know, watching these drivers go a little bit off into the dirt has me wondering, Adam, have these guys put in the practice to figure out where can they find speed, kind of expanding the track limits as we get a pass down into 5.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. That's shot going around Haas. Haas very slow actually through turn 5 there. So I'm not sure whether they have put in the time to figure out where it's going to be faster. I know that it's faster through the corkscrew because I've done it, admittedly, a couple times myself. But aside from that, I think probably cutting turn 5 is a decent place to do it, but it's still going to be a little slow. But regardless, it's really challenging to actually get around this track when you go off track just because of how loose the car gets on the silt that's out there. So a real challenge for these drivers. But right now we have Ost leading over Josh Lowe, Alex Filsinger, Kip Mitchell, and Ben Schott rounding out your top 5.
So far, we're seeing at least 4 drivers with stops or drinks in their system. And we're already 5 minutes.
Oh, here's another one.
It.
That is Filsinger is going to take a drink.
All right, so Alex joins the list now. That'll be our 5th driver. We don't see anybody on 2 yet. Although I did see that Bolton marked down twice on his thing, so not sure if that meant he actually took 2 as way off for Ost. And that is going to be him giving up the lead to Josh Lowe. He's going to take a drink while he is halted.
Seems to be a decent strategy for most of these drivers. Looks like Momeyer is he's going into the pits, so he had some trouble actually hit the tire barriers, so he's come into the pits and is now serving one of his pit stops. His second pit stop, actually.
Yes, this will be another stop and go for him. And did we get Nico stopping that time?
Looks like Ost did too as well.
Well, is Ost a DD? And by the way, Silva did not take a stop and go that time, so he carried on.
Sorry. It looks like Ost might have done 2 drinks, so it's possible that Ost and Bolton both did 2 drinks.
There's potential there. Well, if we get close to the end and they're not stopping again, then we know that they did, in fact, take those 2. And another interesting note, because of the lax off-track rules around here, it doesn't count your lap for the fastest lap if you have an off-track. So only Nico Silva so far has had a clean lap out of everybody, because I don't see a best lap mark for anybody but that 28 machine as Josh Lowe comes back around to complete this one. He still needs to take one of his stop-and-go penalties, so have to give up some of this as well. Kip Mitchell also still hasn't taken a drink. So our highest driver who has taken a stop right now, I believe, is that going to be Hollander in the 69 car?
Matthew Hollander has taken a drink, yes. So I believe that will be that will be the highest person who's taken a drink so far. Currently, we got the fastest lap just put in right there by Nick Balspa, actually, who has yet to come into the pits himself.
And Silva just took his second run through pit lane. So Nico now has 2 of his 3 done, and he currently sits in 9th. So a lot of work to do, it appears, but he'll get a lot of that paid back as more drivers do take drinks.
Oh, Bolton off. Bolton's off in the background. Will he take this opportunity to take another drink? No, he's going to keep going. So that's Michael Bolton, who, if he has taken 2 drinks, it's definitely starting to affect his driving. And Momeyer's in the pits again.
So Momeyer,
that'll be his final pit stop.
Wow. And it will put him a fair bit behind. In fact, close to a lap down, because Josh Lowe is just coming through turn 10 now, which is quite a close fight. And this is interesting. He has elected not to take the normal pit exit. He's got a friend with him, an actual Cone friend, who is joining him on his journey. Now he's leaving him. They are able to clear the black flags because of the rules with the cut course penalties. Since they clear the cut course penalties, they can do the same thing for a illegal pit exit. So I'm guessing that he's just gotten savvy to what that means for him, and that's going to gain him some time potentially.
And Josh Lowe comes into the pits, and unfortunately for him, he didn't uncheck the pit stop box, so he's going to be in there for a long time.
Oh, no. Well, he'll be on fresh rubber, I guess, get all that dirt knocked off of it pretty quickly. As we see this fight for 4th position, Hollander with Haas just in front of him. Coming out of turn 3 and into 4. Let's see which of them uses that little bit extra off the corner. Both of them sticking within the racing lines. We've had a few other drivers with clean laps. I see Bausbaugh and Hollander have run them, as well as Josh Lowe has had a clean lap. Josh is still in his pit stall, though. Did he wind up upside down somewhere?
No, I don't think so, but he possibly might. No, he definitely came in for a pit stop, as we actually have our leader, Kip Mitchell, stopping for a drink right now at the top of the corkscrew.
That gives Ben Shout the lead. So, Kip Mitchell. This is his first drink. Okay. We're still waiting on Ben Shout to take a drive-through stop and go. Bausbaugh needs his, and we don't have a stop for...
Bausbaugh stopped. So is he not going to... Is he drinking today? I believe he might be.
He may be indeed. Yeah, this seems like a stop for him, so let's mark that down.
All right, that's Ben Schott, who's come into the pits for one of his drive-thrus or his stop and goes.
Now, I did see other drivers such as Silva not stop in his stall specifically, but simply stop anywhere. And I believe that should count, but actually I didn't see Ben stop. Ooh, wonder if they're not going to count that then. How much of a stickler for the rules are they going to be is now Nico Silva. This should be his final one.
And Larry Haas and Alex Filsinger have both stopped for a drink as well. So both of them taking drinks. This is Larry Haas's first drink and Filsinger's second.
So we've got 3 drivers with 2 drinks so far. Nobody has reached their third that we've witnessed. Silva comes back out in 7th place, it looks like, as Haas just goes by. And he might have Bausbaugh also go past him as we watch up the hill. This is Kip Mitchell leading Matthew Hollander. Now, did Hollander just take 1 on his stop? Let me double check to see what he marked down. Yeah, I'm seeing only 1.
Yeah, I believe so. So Hollander still has 3 drinks to go for him. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge. I mean, there's a reason why he's up there at the front. Kip Mitchell as well has only taken 1 drink. So that's why they're up at the front of the field right now.
Indeed. So maybe getting a little bit of that track position here. Feels he can run well enough with 1 under his belt as the 47 leads him by about half a second. Remember, Hollander was our pole sitter as well, so seems to have pretty good speed over everybody else. But can he keep it up and keep the mistakes away? Heading across the track, Hollander set his fastest lap of the race that time as well. He's starting to pick it up, and he almost gets into the back of Kip Mitchell, breaking deep into Andretti.
Absolutely. His laps are consistently faster than Kip Mitchell by a tune of 1.5 seconds almost. So he wants to get this move done. The question is, you know, when do you take that second drink? We are just about a quarter of the way into the race, and he's only taken 1 at this point. So definitely going to have to think about that. Now, at this point, currently everyone is still on the lead lap to my best estimation, including Josh Lowe, which is fascinating to me.
He is actually, yeah. He's about 1:10 behind Kip Mitchell. I guess that gap helped as up into the lead goes Matt Hollander with a great pass into turn 6. Brave stuff from the 69 machine. So Kip Mitchell now finds himself only 1 drink in and behind the other man who is 1 drink in. And they come down through the corkscrew. He is going to have to do some very clever strategy to see if he can get back past Matt Hollander.
So John Momire is the only driver who has completed his allotted stops or drinks, currently down in the 10th position, a minute off of the rest of the field. But considering the fact that a transit through pit lane, including a stop, is about 22 to 25 seconds, and that still has to be done by Silva 1 more time. And Silva is only about 30 seconds ahead of Momire. It's going to be close between Momire and Silva, closing towards the end of this race. So keep your eyes on those 2 drivers, Silva in the number 28, Momire in the number 6.
And Silva out-qualified him as well. In fact, Momeyer's been battling both with Josh Lowe and Alex Filsinger during much of this time as we're watching the fight down towards turn 11 between Balsbaugh and Haas. This is for 7th place. Into that last corner and onto the front stretch. Great exit from the 976 to keep him well ahead of Larry and keep him out of the draft. So we're a quarter of the way through the race at this point. Oh, and Momeyer had an off in the corkscrew.
Yeah, this is a big one, unfortunately for him. And this is really going to hurt his chances of taking the win here today. He was already on the back foot just due to the nature of his stops, and now he's got even more work to do.
And Silva didn't come in that time, so he still needs to take that one to go.
Oh, man.
And going well off the course. Looks like Momeyer is struggling now. Again, damage heals on these cars, so it should pop back into place. But apparently he's still a little bit out of whack. Is down into the first corner. It carries on between Filsinger and Lowe. Lowe is by, and he's not gaining on our leader. It's a minute and 11 back now for that number 7 car.
Yeah, a lot of curve there from Filsinger on the inside of 3 as they dive through 4. Wow. Car very loose for Filsinger. He almost gets it way too loose coming through the corner, but J-Lo off track there on the exit of 4. So fortunately for him, able to hang on to that thing. These drivers doing a good job of keeping their cars going straight. Currently, the only driver who's really had a big spin that has cost them a lot of time is John Momeyer down in 11th position.
Been trying to check to see if anybody's taken drinks according to lap times. I'm not seeing anybody who's missed reporting it, so it looks like they are just kind of cruising at this point. They're in the midst of the race and things are getting heavy. They have to focus, so maybe few drivers willing to risk trying to take a chug. As we come down the hill, Josh Lowe still playing catch-up after a strategy error in the pits. 55-second stop. Something to me says maybe he sped in pit lane or something there, because that just seems a little strange.
Yeah, that smacks of a speeding penalty, and that's exactly what you talked about in the pre-show, Joe, was how the speeding penalties could come back to bite you if you're trying to get through there very quickly. And especially with the way that the pit lane entry is set up, you can enter that at an angle and very quickly if you're not careful in these MX-5s. I know it's a tight turn for the Indy cars, not so much so for these production MX-5s.
Yeah, and they can afford to hit the wall too on their way in, so that's even more temptation to try and get every last inch out of it. And it is still Hollander who leads the way, and we still have all 11 cars on the lead lap. Momeyer now our final one. There is Kip Mitchell trying to give chase in the Hello Kitty machine. He's about 2.5 seconds behind. He gets about 3.5 seconds down to Ben Shout, who still needs 2 of his stops, but he is in 3rd position. How far ahead of Silva is he? He's about 30 seconds ahead of Silva. So Ben probably going to be overtaken by that 28 machine once he comes into pit.
Oh, the pen has stopped. Oh, sorry. That's Alex Filsinger who's taking another drink. This will be his 3rd. So he'll be the first driver to hit 3 drinks.
Interesting. And he hasn't even hit the halfway mark. Just off the track up the hill. And he is going to go a lap down. First driver to have that happen here tonight. The leader's just kind of cruising by him and taking him a bit of time.
Maybe he's doing 2. He's got all 4 in his system then.
Ooh.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well. Oh, and I think Larry Haas is taking one now as well. Yes, he is. The 743 has come to a halt. So he is going to move himself up to 2 now. Interesting. Okay, so Filsinger supposedly is done, but he's a lap down and in last place.
And Ben Shout's going to come into the pits.
It's number 2 for Ben. I see Hollander.
Yes, Hollander on the stop as well.
I see 1 for him. So I wonder if he is splitting them up evenly as he can throughout the race. I think he's going to lose his spot to Michael Ost. He already lost the lead to Kip Mitchell. So Ost is by and continuing on through. Ben Shout is done. Now, did he stop that time is the question. No, he did not. I don't think somebody got the memo on the rules today.
We'll have to keep our eyes on whether they actually decided on that rule or whether that was just proposed. We'll keep our ears out for that one especially. But now we have this nice battle going on between Hollander and Ost. So interesting developments there. Ost on 2 drinks, Hollander on 2 drinks as well.
Interesting stuff. And Ost doesn't look very fast comparatively as he gets a hello from Matt Hollander. Just playing a bit of NASCAR rules here today. Giving him a wake up, and he's going to try and defend to the inside. Well, no, he's going to cut the inside. And that does appear to be much quicker. Look at him fly up the hill.
That's very, very quick for sure for him. And Filsinger appears to be... Kip Mitchell was parked at the top of the... Yeah, Kip Mitchell and Alex Filsinger taking drinks just now. Kip Mitchell just finishing his, Filsinger taking one.
And is that 3 or 4 for Filsinger? That's 4.
That's 4 for Filsinger. And Mitchell's on his second.
Interesting stuff. Okay.
And that is, if we understand that I believe that's Filsinger's 4th. It could be his 3rd. I'm just trying to still take a look at whether or not we had just 2 messages back to back, because I believe he was our last one to take the drink before we had that long break. Oh, Balsa's also stopped, so he's taking his second drink of the day.
Alrighty. So he has now got 2 down, and he sits in 7th place. Will he actually get passed by Josh Lowe here? Is coming through? He might. Josh is getting close. It's always interesting how, again, we talk about strategy in this series. Some of it also comes down to, well, how quickly can you drink? I guess a few on that. I have heard implementation of tools from some people that are of the frat house variety, if you will, for some drivers to try and drink a little bit quicker.
So Balspa, unfortunately, is not telling us how many he's drinking. He was stopped long enough I could understand for him to take 2. So I'll be interested to know whether or not that's the case. But for now, we'll mark him down as 1. We'll just keep our ears open to see whether or not we hear whether he's taken 2 or in that particular stop or not.
Exactly, and we are past the halfway mark now. Ost leads by about 0.7 of a second over Hollander, and Michael's creative use of the track boundaries definitely seemed to have bought him a little bit of time, because while Matthew generally is faster on the pavement, Ost seems to be faster in terms of overall track, I guess. I don't know how to frame that.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting for sure for these drivers. Looks like, yeah, Hollander just about 0.3 slower than Ost last time around. So just interesting to see the pace of these drivers as they continue to consume these drinks for these drivers for sure. Remember, Ost on 2, Hollander also on 2. Based upon our best understanding, as Ost goes off track there, manages to hang on to it. That's going to bring Hollander up. He's going to just barely clip that inside curve. That's a great line, actually, from Hollander through 4. Coming with a great head of steam. He's going to take a look into 5, think better of it. Going to follow him through into 5. Ost a little bit shaky right now on his lines. Hollander going to look to the inside of 6. This is always sketchy, but these guys have no damage and no off tracks to worry about. Hollander going to stay in behind, takes an unenviable line. Ost a little bit loose, but he's going to carry the speed up to the corkscrew.
Interesting that Ost did not take the cut-through line that time, but he still retained the lead as they break through the corkscrew. And it looks like none of them going to try and cut the course through there as well. Kip Mitchell, we should mention, looks like he may be catching up a bit. I think John Momeyer is trying to overtake Larry Haas, currently for the 8th position. There he goes around the outside, able to break deeper, a little too deep, but he is going to stay ahead, so Momeyer up into P8.
Yeah, remember, Momeyer has completed all of his drive-through and stop penalties. It looks like Filsinger has either had another issue or took another drink. Well, go back and take a look. No, that was an issue for him.
Yeah, that was going wide. Oh, and Hollander's going to get the lead away down into the Andretti hairpin. Matt is your leader once again. The pole sitter looks incredibly fast out there, and he's still got 2 drinks to go from what we can tell.
Of course, the information we're relying on is a little bit questionable as they continue to down the drinks. So we're going off of our best judgment here, but as far as we know, Hollander and Ost both have 2 more drinks left to go.
Yeah, ask someone who's been at the bar, how many have you had? And expect an
Oh, look at this! Ost going for the deep cut, and he's going to make it stick. What a move there from Ost to make the cut on the inside of 5.
Beautifully executed. He's going to get the position back. I wonder, why hasn't Hollander tried to do the same thing, I wonder?
Why hasn't anyone tried to do the same thing, Joe? It's such a good line.
I wonder if he was maybe one of the few that figured to try and map that cut course penalty, erase black flags button for himself. Because if you haven't mapped that to some sort of hotkey, then you have no way to clear those black flags. So could have been a smart stroke from him as they come onto the main straight once again. And incredibly, their pace has been good enough that they are now starting to stretch back away from Kip Mitchell. Let's see if we get another dive from
And
Hollander.
Bolton has come to a stop, so I believe he's going to take another drink. Here we go. Yep, Bolton on another drink.
Okay, so that makes 3 for him. And I see 2 marked down.
So Bolton's going to go for the full 4. Wow, he pounded those back quick.
That was how long? I'm going to see. Okay,
he marked them at separate times.
He did, yeah.
I mean, if you're good at shotgunning beers, you could do it.
At 2:04, so he did each of those in 10 seconds, basically.
It's possible.
Oof.
I've seen it done.
Rip for his liver as we come up the hill, and Matt Hollander still chasing. Oh, and now Matt Hollander is going to pick it up. He is going to try the same thing. They both go off track, but this time it's Ost going a little wide. He tries to come back on. He is clear. He's going to lose the lead.
Now, this is what we come here for, Joe. Creative lines, new interpretations of track limits. I mean, F1's got nothing on 4-Drink Fridays.
It would be fascinating to watch a 4-Drink Friday with F1 drivers, I'm sure, as we come down into turn 10. So will we see maybe a few drivers try and get creative in other places? I swear there's got to be other spots where they can try and cut the course. He goes around the outside, though. Michael Ost has not lost the edge at all. What a pass! And sober or not, that would have raised my eyebrows. Great stuff for the lead there from the 68.
Yeah, but Ost and Hollander have got to get drinking. These 2 guys still have 2 drinks left to go. Even though they're battling and having a great time, looks like, I believe that's Larry Haas is taking a drink himself. So
he is, and he's going to get passed by this battle, which goes to Hollander that time, back through to the lead in the Andretti hairpin.
That should be Haas's last drink. Ben Schott's in the pits and out, so Ben Schott has finished his time as well in the pits.
Saw Matt Hollander clear black flags for Kip Mitchell. Okay, and Kip did cut the course, so that was some sportsmanlike conduct there from Matt Hollander to be willing to do that for him.
You got to be careful, because as these guys get more drinks in their system, you can't rely on the server. Here we go with Ost again.
Ost's going to take the cut course, almost getting into the side, and he does get into the side of Filsinger. Filsinger holds on. That slows both of them up, but Hollander has no place to go, breaking down into the corkscrew amazingly. None of them wreck. A little bit of a cut course from Filsinger through there, but he's a lap down.
I don't think Filsinger knows quite where he is in the order of things, but it doesn't matter. There's no blue flags in this series, and if some guy makes you mad, go for him.
All right, well, a little bit off, and that's going to hand both the spots over. Thankfully, did not swing into the side of Hollander. Everybody carries on, but now Ost is back into the lead once again with 12 minutes to go. but Ost still needs 2 of his drinks. Hollander still needs 2 drinks. Where is Kip Mitchell in this? Mitchell still needs 2 drinks as well. Silva only needs a single stop. He sits in 4th as the top 3, going way deep into the first hairpin. Hollander manages not to lose the position, but certainly took an unorthodox line there.
Absolutely. All these drivers absolutely pushing these vehicles and their livers to the absolute maximum right now. Kip Mitchell going off track a little bit through 3 and 4. Ost going off track through 3 himself. So these drivers on the edge of their abilities at the moment, and they still have 2 drinks left to go. Oh, slow through 5 is Ost. A little bit of a bump draft from Hollander. Who's going to take the cut through this time?
Looks like on the inside, Hollander has the desired line. He is going to weave through both of them, going a little bit off the circuit, and Hollander gets the spot.
Tough stuff for all these drivers, Joe. It's hard out there.
I'm double checking here. I think Kip may have taken all 3 of his stops and we simply missed one, because I was double checking on his laps. His MO is usually to finish them early. I'm double checking that on us.
Also, looks like Kip Mitchell did just take one. Oh, and look at this. Hollander and Ost both stopping. Both of them stopping at the same time. Here we go. Are they both going to pound back both drinks for them? It's just one for both right now.
And to complicate things, I can confirm Silva has taken all 3 of his stops. We missed one. Silva is done, and he's currently sitting. Where is he? Well, he's coming up to our leaders right now, or our former leaders. This is 2nd and 3rd. He's got better pace than the pair of them. He's going to get past Ost. He's starting to approach on Hollander, but he looks a little too far back. Kip Mitchell still needs to take his.
Very fascinating stuff here as these drivers continue to battle and continue to drink. It's very close with Silva having pulled ahead of Ost. Hollander just now hanging on to it. Oh boy, and I think Hollander and Ost still have yet to take... Oh no, Ost took both drinks.
He did. So that's 2 for him.
That completes his set.
All right. And Hollander, we're seeing still needs 1, if I'm seeing correctly. So he's kind of the odd man out here. Silva probably in the best position. Ost could maybe run him down depending on how he handles his alcohol. 10 minutes left to go. Well, and depending on how creative Ost gets with the lines, as that caught him up to Nico Silva by a good margin right there. Oh, and that was Mitchell off at the side of the road. Did he wreck? Or is this a drink?
No, this was a drink. He stopped.
Okay.
So that should be his final drink.
And that was a fast one. He is still with them, only behind by a couple seconds as they fly out of turn 10 into 11. Nico Silva trying to see if he could find a way past Matt Hollander, going left and right looking for an opening, but none is forthcoming quite yet. They cross the line once again onto lap 18, but Silva might not be aware that Hollander needs another drink, at least according to our calculations. He's going to go for the pass anyways. Oh no! Ost uses Silva as the brakes, and it actually gives Silva the lead briefly, but it looks like Hollander is going to sneak back through. He'll have a fight back on the inside of turn 3 as they go wheel to wheel.
It's going to be close between these drivers. I think Hollander still does have 1 drink to go. It's going to be 3 wide as they exit turn 4. Silva and Ost. Oh, contact! That's going to be Ost around. That's going to be major contact for Ost. Silva's going to be running away with it at this point.
With your inhibitions reduced, unfortunately, that means your sense of judgment on passes also goes away a little bit. So Ost finds himself turned around in a fit of wildness amongst 2 other drivers. Hollander is in second. Silva is up in the lead currently.
Yeah, just a rough moment there for Ost, so that puts him behind shot. who has completed all of his drive-throughs, and behind Kip Mitchell has completed all of his drinks. So he's really deep in it now.
And I think we also missed J-Lo taking his third drive-through here. Double checking. Yes, we did. So looks like Josh Lowe is done, but he is down in ninth. We're waiting on Bowlesbaugh, who needs 2 more drinks, and Hollander, who needs 1.
Probably. We're not sure. He might have taken both on that stop where both he and Ost stopped. If that's the case, then he's in the best position to try and challenge Silva for this win with only 7 minutes to go.
It's going to be tough, though, because Nico is a DD, so he's got a clean system right now. Probably able to focus on putting those fast laps in a little bit better than those around him. Hollander using up the dirt on the outside. So is Kip Mitchell, as Ben Shout starts to come up behind him. He could have a spot, another runoff into the dirt for Kip Mitchell as he stays defensive into turn 5. Ben Shout trying to go the long way around, ducks under him as he pulls the over-under. Doesn't have the speed, though.
Yeah, Hollander taking the deep cut, and so is Kip Mitchell. Shout taking the normal line. It's possible that they might have a gentleman's rule that the designated drivers can only take the racing line. I'm not sure whether that's the case, but Ben Shout could have followed them through there, decided not to.
Oh, and Josh is in again.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible that we counted one of Josh's twice, so this will be his third and final stop.
Okay, and comes to a halt. That should be it, and he's rolling on his way. Nico Silva only a half second ahead of Matt Hollander. That 69 machine not losing any of its speed, it seems. Now with 5 minutes left to go, we're only looking at about 3 or 4 more laps.
Yeah, and Hollander's very close to Silva. He's closed that gap. Even with all those drinks in his system, I'm just going to make the assumption he took all of them, Joe, because I don't think he'd be fighting this hard, this close to the end if he hadn't finished all those drinks.
Going past Josh as he exits. Of course, he's not in the battle with them as he's gone a lap down. We're down to 8 cars left on the lead lap with Molmeyer the last among them. Wonder if we may have missed some of Bowlesbaugh's.
And he's not logging them, so it makes it challenging to track. He might have taken 2 at both of his 2 stops, but he was stopped for quite a while on both of those.
Yeah, that seems to me that might be
Hollander taking the cut through. Here we go. He's going to close in on Silva. He took the cut through on the corkscrew last time too. Is he going to do that again here?
Let's see, he's awful close to Silva. Silva goes a little bit deep. He is going to cut right through, comes in front of him, but he's a little bit out of sorts. Car manages to get itself back together, and Nico Silva tries to cut back on him, gives him another little hello, sneaks inside, down into turn 10, and makes a pass. I can't remember the last time I saw a pass into that turn.
That was beautiful. That was... Oh my goodness, I can't even compare that to anything because nobody can take that line in real racing. I mean, what a fantastic move there from Hollander to try and make the move, and what a good fight back from Silva.
Well, unless you're Alex Zanardi.
Well, yes.
Well, as you come down into the Andretti hairpin, Hollander's going to definitely make a fight out of this as he goes very deep and manages to get side by side, but he's a little too ambitious on the binders. Behind him, all of that back and forth has allowed Kip Mitchell to start to catch up. It's down to 1.3 seconds. If they do too much against each other, they might have a 3-way battle.
I'm pretty sure that everyone has finished up their drinks at this point. 3 minutes, 35 to go. As you were mentioning, Joe, it's really close between these leaders. And to be honest with you, the top 5 are not too far behind. Oh, it is going to be really close here. So let's see whether Hollander takes the cut through again. I think it's his best strategy to take the win. Here he goes. Nico Silva taking the normal racing line. Mitchell is also going to take the cut through. Look at that gap that Hollander has opened up by doing that. The question is he going to take this cut through at the corkscrew again because it was so risky last time? He decides to he decides to go for it, and here comes Silva to do it as well. Everyone's going to take the cut through.
Monkey see, monkey do for a lot of drivers now. I think they're realizing the importance of trying to expand the track limits around here, and we're going to come across the line with 2 to go this time. And finally, we saw somebody cut through on turn 10. I thought that would be a better one, but Josh Lowe having some trouble making it work.
And there's good strategies all over this place, Joe. I think the cut through on turn 4 works. Turn 3 is a little more sketchy because of how close the barrier is on the inside. Turn 5 is also pretty sketchy considering the banking helps you out. But there's some great places to expand the track limits around here as Hollander takes it too deep into turn 1, or turn 2 rather, the Andretti hairpin. Silva's going to close that gap. Here we go again.
Oh, looks like Larry Haas is taking another one. Didn't he take 4 already?
I believe so. We counted 4. Or
I mean, they're allowed to do more if they want.
I mean, hey, you know, if you're in the back of the field, you might as well just have a good time.
Exactly. Well, look at how good of a time these two are having, battling for the lead, coming up into turn 5. Which of them cuts through this time? They're approaching Phil Singer, who is a lap down already. He's about to go 2 laps down now. So far, Hollander has been taking this every time, and it looks like this time as well. Nico Silva also going to give a little bit of a cut. Not a full one, though.
Oh, boy. A block from Phil Singer.
He's going to stay out of the way. 1 will get through. 2 might not get through. He's going to be able to dive through. Oh, no, and he's going to tip Phil Singer. That compromises Silva. He gets back on the course, but he lost a lot of time, and here comes Kip Mitchell.
We're going to close down on the white flag this time around for Hollander. Silva's got a lot of work to do, and he's got to hope that those drinks are really making it hard for Hollander to make it through here. Kip Mitchell only a second behind. Silva much better on the brakes than Hollander, but is it too little too late?
If I'm Silva, I'm cutting every corner possible at this point. Do you think maybe they could cut to the inside of turn 1, or of Andretti rather? Use the pit.
That's risky. It's so hard to keep grip on that pit entry. But Hollander making sure to hit his braking point this time around. He took the corner very slowly to make sure he didn't go deep, and that actually worked out for him. He only lost about 0.2 of a second.
Through turn 3, he's not gaining much. It's still a second and a half between the pair of them. This is the white flag. Final lap here in 4 Drink Friday. Out of turn 4, nobody cutting the course that time. Silva still a second and a half back. Who is going to try and take some creative differences in the final half of this lap? Little bit of a touch into the gravel for Nico Silva out of turn 5. And it looks like Hollander is going to stay on the racing line this time. Mitchell does not. Silva does. And Mitchell's got a great run up the hill. He could try and attack up here into the corkscrew. Who goes deep through there? 1 does. But only 1. The other 2 are going to stay on the course. Hollander is well clear as Nico Silva is just a little bit too far back, trying to hold off Kip Mitchell. Through turn 10 now. Still staying on the track. Nobody cutting the course here, and that is about the only last place that you can do it. Matt Hollander started on the pole. He drank early and finished at the top spot still. The 69 takes the win here in 4 Drink Friday.
Silva with a great attempt comes home in the second position, just couldn't compete with the speed of Hollander. Kip Mitchell closing in on that 3rd position as they wreck across the line.
From here, it's all just about having a little bit of fun coming across. So we had 8 drivers finish on the lead lap. Momeyer, sadly, the last amongst them. And that is going to take us to a quick break as well. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Four Drink Friday. We just watched the November edition. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. These guys certainly did, even though it's about a day late. It is not a dollar short, though, especially for Matt Hollander, who took the win over Nico Silva, who frequently is up at the front in these things. He's usually a DD, but he plays that strategy well. And Kip Mitchell rounded out the podium of drivers who, will they spray champagne or will they be spraying beer today? It is Ben Shout who finished fourth, and then rounding out the first half of the field, going from 11th to 5th for Michael Ost.
I think they may need some saltines, actually, for these drivers, but they got Michael Bolton down there in 6th position with Nick Balsbaugh in 7th. Marked as a DD, but he actually was taking drinks tonight. Then we got John Momeyer down there in 8th. His early strategy to take all of his stops at the beginning turning out not working for him, unfortunately. And Josh Lowe down in the 9th position. 10th goes to Larry Haas, and then last on the field is Alex Filsinger after that spin that was caused by Silva coming deep across the corkscrew.
And it looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us. Matt Hollander having a fun time out there with some of the creative lines that he found. But before he got to those lines, he basically decided to have a slow stop at the start. Matt, we saw you pull off, and we weren't sure if you took one drink or two at the first one. Which one was it? Matt, do you have a copy? Not sure if Matt has his microphone hooked up. We'll give him a second here to see if he can get that all fixed and ready. Well, it looks like he has unfortunately decided to leave to go work on it on his own. And we instead have Adam catching up with our third place finisher, Kip Mitchell.
Absolutely, Kip. You did a great job trying to fight back there to get back up to Nico Silva towards the end, but just couldn't quite get it done. How hard is it to take this track around here with a couple of drinks in your system?
Oh, it hit me towards the end. The last couple minutes was like, I'm feeling it now. Doesn't help I was started beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing a couple of pre-games definitely makes it a challenge, but a lot of creative lines out there today, but I didn't see a lot of drivers executing those earlier on in the race. Is there a reason why you guys weren't cutting a couple more corners towards the beginning?
I had no idea. I just happened to see someone else do it, and I was like, he pulled a gap on me, and I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to try that now. And yeah, I don't know why anybody else wasn't doing it beforehand.
Yeah, definitely worth some experimentation, but yeah, you guys found a lot of time through 6 towards the end of that race, taking that shorter line, but great drive there for you, Kip, today. And anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
No, I just got to thank the GMS boys.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Kip, and we look forward to seeing you here in the future on the Four Drink Fridays.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. That's Kip Mitchell, who finished in the 3rd position. And back to you, Joe.
Well, it looks like we won't get to talk to Matt tonight, unfortunately, and we'll, of course, hope to talk to him maybe during one of the more normal races for Porsche Owners Club, as that is the group that puts these on. But in the meantime, we are going to close out. And of course, we want to thank the sponsors before we go, which includes Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. As well as Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Next time will be Friday, December 17th at 9:45 p.m. Eastern, but we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, we'll see you on the track.